Hey folks, just hopping on here first to say that within the 25-minute mark of this episode, we do touch on some topics around assault and things that would be potentially triggering to some people. We don't go in too deep or too dark or anything like that, but I just thought it would be appropriate to throw up a quick warning in case you're sensitive to that kind of stuff. And you can choose to skip over that section if you wish. But anyway, here we go.
Holy bat music. Bat is not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Will and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minute of the Phantasm. This is the podcast where your only chance to hear about every minute of Batman Mask of the Phantasm, 1 minute at a time. Although there was some, I remember like a year or two back on Twitter, someone else came out with we're doing Mask of the Phantasm minute by minute. And where did they ever go? They never appeared. They vanished like the Phantasm herself.
That's a good point. Hang on a minute. Yeah. That's bringing back memories.
Yeah, so I remember at the time, I think we were in the middle of Batman and Robin, and it was like, oh, I think I was kind of mulling over doing that next, but okay. And
that's why we chose it, so they couldn't do it.
You just muscled out the competition and just monopolized this corner of the podcast market.
Yeah, just drove up slashed their tires and told them, this is a Bat-Minute town.
Yeah.
Yes, do tell. What secrets to your success?
We can't tell anybody.
You just go up and you just tell them, it's like, you've got 24 hours to erase that Twitter page. And the show, I mean business. You now have 12 hours. Well, but anyway, I'm one of those.
Delete.
I am your other host, John Parker, who just doesn't know when to quit. Because I would have quit a long time ago if I was sensible.
Yeah, some people said we should have quit after the first movie, but hey, we're still here.
We're hardcore.
No, but that other voice you heard muscling in herself there is, I don't know what to refer to you as now, Brittany. Is it like the artist formerly known as BrittGirl? Or do you just want to still go by, because I know you said that you're not active as BrittGirl anymore, but the legacy remains.
Yeah, Brittany, BrittGirl, I think when I want to practice different kinds of creativity, whether that be filming or figuring out a new social media, because I'm back to studying with marketing, so BrittGirl might pop up every now and again for selfish reasons, but yeah, at the moment, Brittany, BrittGirl, it's all is good.
Yeah. Now you're currently a civilian, but you might return to the heady world of YouTube in the near future.
Hey.
But yeah, we're here today to talk specifically about minute 68 of Mask of the Phantasm, which opens with a tip-off, and it ends a minute later amongst the shards of Saturn.
Oh, that's quite a change from where we were, at the start of the minute.
I might contest that. Saturn? I did some research. Is it really Saturn?
I mean, we'll get to it, but
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see why you're saying it, Niall, because the rings. But I think the rings are supposed to be illustrative of the moon's
cosmos.
Orbits.
Yeah. We'll get to it. We'll get to that. But yeah, straight up though, Brittany, we are asking the guests because Mask of Phantasm acclaimed as one of the best Batman movies, but not all that wildly seen by the general public. Like, what's your history with the movie? Because obviously you going by the name BrittGirl, I'm assuming you have seen the movie before, been invited on the show.
Yeah. So I had seen it before. I've seen probably most of the animated films. They've probably gone a bit beyond my grasp in the past few years as I've dipped into work and study, and so I think Mask of the Phantasm and the Batman Mystery of the Batwoman was really good as well. where both of these kind of took concepts that were already top of mind for fans and just added that little bit of twist, just enough where it was a surprise to audiences. And I think they did that really well. Under the Red Hood was a very good one as well, probably a bit more modern, I think. And I guess if we're going to give a wide scope of things, may as well go to something that wasn't good, and that was Batman Hush, the animated movie. Yeah.
Although I'm biased because I just don't like Hush, even the comic. I wasn't a fan of Hush.
You really hate it, don't you?
Yeah, beautiful artwork, but like everything about it was just like, nah, just not for me, Hush. But yeah. So, but like in jumping in too, the minute at hand, we have the Joker there taking off in his Thunderball rocket, pack thingamajig. Notably, safety first. He puts on a helmet, a painted helmet, of course, but he dons his purple helmet, and it just reminded me though, because I think we mentioned when we were talking about the whole Thunderball reference last week that there are on-set photos of Sean Connery in the thing without a helmet, and he was all planning to do it without the helmet because he's like, oh, this is James Bond, he's cool, why would he need a helmet? And then I think all the insurance people and all the directors and stuff like, no, you gotta wear a helmet because we don't know, this thing might literally like blow up or something. So yeah, I guess the helmet will protect you from that.
Which is a funny thing. Like, it's like, great, good safety first. He has not put it on properly at all, because when they crash, it topples off.
That's true.
So the helmet is a gag. It's a whole part of the Joker shtick.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. It comes off that isn't secure, Joker. That's terrible.
It's not, and yet he's so concerned about Batman bringing him down and killing the both.
Yeah. That'd be something though, when they both crash, the Joker just like knocks his helmet that's still on his head, just like, safety first, Batman. Batman's not complete days ago. Oh my god, I think I cracked my skull.
Yeah, Batman's in rough shape by the end of this minute.
I do find it interesting that Batman literally just runs up the rocket and jumps to be like, right, because normally you'd think, oh, he's going to use his grappling hook.
One of the few times they don't have him use his grappling. They use this for literally everything else in that show.
Like, normally that's what he would do to get... And you know what? In the draft script, that is what he does. There's a real... I'm not going to go all into it because it's a very complicated sequence involving wrapping the grappling hook around Joker, climbing up it, and it's over the top. I think they probably were like, this is going to take like 2 months to animate. We're not doing this.
It reminds me, though, of the... Did you play Arkham Origins, Britt? Was that on your radar?
Yes. I don't think it was one of my favorites, but yes, I at least went through it once.
Yeah, that's the one of the best bits of that whole game, because I'm a big Arkham Origins apologist, but there's a big fight with Firefly towards the end, and you go on to see he's destroyed the Gotham Bridge and stuff, and it's just really amazing. Like, you have to like go in under this completely demolished bridge and stuff, and then his whole thing is he's just flying around, obviously as Firefly, freaking flinging grenades and flamethrowers at you and stuff. And your whole objective is to grapple onto him, so you can then try to, and you end up like he goes flying around with you attached to him and stuff like that. That's just, I would highly, if nothing else, if you can't even play the game, just go and look at that cutscene, because the music for it and everything is just so spectacular. Like, it's a really, really well done sequence.
I feel bad. It's the only game I haven't played out of all of it. I think because when it came out, loads of people were automatically against it just because it wasn't the normal team. So they're like, no. So
it is, notably not Conroy, yeah. But yeah, you said, you got Batman's whole tactic here is just like, runs up the side of the rockets, and then it does that thing where, I think this might be a thing of the past now altogether, because, obviously we moved into like digital animation and stuff like that, but it used to always be the standard thing of like, you'd have a painted background, and then there'd be one thing that was like off.
Yeah.
And you knew that was going to be the thing that moved. So,
you could always spot it.
Yeah, so there's always in Scooby-Doo's atrocious animation in general, but there's always a thing of like, oh, that door, somebody's clearly going to be behind that door now.
There's this, I think it's an anime which actually recognizes this, and there are two detectives on a cliff, and they're looking at this obviously animated part of the scenery, and the detectives are being a little bit meta, going like, you see, like, this section of the cliff is going to collapse. You can see that the people who've made this haven't put the proper detail in, and it's meant to be animated. So what happens is the bit they're standing on is the bit that actually crumbles, and it looks like it's the scenery and stuff. They kind of turn it on its head.
Yeah, that's ingenious. Yeah. Although you think Batman been so well prepped, he should spot this obviously not as detailed part of the rocket, be like, or maybe he does. Maybe that's how he knows when to jump specifically. He's like, well, that's obviously going to fall off because it's not as painted into the background as the rest of the whole scene. So.
Just doing his detective work, like, okay, what's the angle here? How much force do I need to leap? Sorry, I was just thinking like this little bit of the segment. Both of these Joker and Batman are very out of character. Like Joker is saying, "Let me go, or we'll both die." Joker shouldn't care because sanity for him is very strange. What does he really want? Is there even anything he wants? Because he's usually just a primal desire. Like whatever he wants, he gets. He goes for. He burns money. He cuts smiles into people. He gives them laughing gas. He puts a camera on a person in a chair in this thing. And then Batman is like, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
No. He doesn't kill. So at the moment, he's suggesting that he's ready to kill himself and the Joker. And yet, so out of character.
One thing I will note that is like this version of the Joker though is like he's not quite like throughout the animated series in general, not quite like like your Heath Ledger Jokers or like the proper doesn't care what happens to him Agent of Chaos Joker. That's kind of like the standard Joker we have in comics now, like burning piles of money and stuff. The Joker in the show was always after money. He was always cash strapped and stuff. He needed money. He was.
It takes a lot to do all the crazy stuff he does, And
he was always kind of very self-preserving and stuff. There's episodes where he's like he nearly falls into things and he's probably like asking Batman to come save him and stuff. And there's an inherent narcissism to him where there's an episode where this guy's looking to pull is built a casino. And is like it's just an insurance scam because he's like, no, I've spent too much money in this casino. I want it to be destroyed, so I can just get the money back. But like, how do I do that? I'll turn it into a Joker themed casino because then the Joker will just break out and come and destroy it for me because he's notoriously so narcissistic and so vain that the idea that somebody's going around claiming his name and stuff and using his image without his permission would like drive him into like a egotistical rage and stuff like that. So he's very into himself, this Joker. I think he is very self-preserving and very like protective of himself. Which is
I guess that kind of makes it's been a while since I watched the series, but thinking back to the scene where he finds joy in thinking that he's finally cracked the bat, that kind of ties into almost both of these sides that you're describing, like this narcissistic Joker and then also like the Agent of Chaos that I'm more familiar with in other areas. So it's an interesting take, especially because the Joker can take so many faces.
Yes. Oh no, it's a character of many facets. So every time you go in, you're kind of like, to talk about what the Joker does broadly is like, well, which version are you talking about? And it's also the same with Batman in general, like because. Although this, as I said, these lines are very like, this is like a moment of him, jumping up and then obviously they're flying around, everything's going crazy and stuff. And then for Batman, to have let me go, we'll both die. And Batman to say whatever it takes is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Is like, that's like, you've turned a corner, man. Is this just because Andrea had to leave again? Are you that upset about it?
Well, 100%. I think it's meant to be. Like, he's decided he doesn't care anymore. He's like, okay, I'm going to finally take you down, and what happens, happens. I'm not bothered about myself anymore. I don't care if I live or die. In the moment, he's just like, screw it. Everything's done. Everything's over. He is
a total like drama llama. This Batman, like everything is like the best or the worst thing ever to him. Like he's again a guy freaking down on his knees in the rain in front of his parents' grave, asking for permission to date a person. Like it's so they got to him. They're like, my girlfriend did leave again. I don't care anymore. I'm gonna disavow my whole no killing rule and kill myself with him as well. God damn.
Well, as we all know, Batman is emo.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
But it opens up so many questions, though, of just like his whole thing, like it's just the classic scenario of why don't just to kill everybody, but like this guy in particular, like
just maybe. No, I have an idea behind that. I've done a video a while ago on my channel about Batman as an addict. And you can see that in the fact that he can't stop being Batman, and he'll try, but he can't. So he knows in a sense that if he kills someone and if he takes the law into his own hands in that sense, I believe he won't stop, and he won't know how to stop, where the line is. But there is a comic strip where he chats to Jason. No, who is he chatting to? I think he's chatting to Damian. He talks about how each of his Robins are better than him in different ways, and how Jason is able to make the call and is able to take someone out and do the things that's necessary. So it's almost like a little bit of a weird respect there, that although Jason has always broken the rules by Bruce's standard, he also acknowledges this is something I can't do, and maybe it's necessary in some scenarios.
That's a weird thing to be like, I'm proud of you, kid. You know when to stop killing people.
I'm proud of you.
I couldn't do that.
I think
it's an important thing to know.
It's an important. Yeah, I don't know if I recommend it for your audiences. I do not TM Brittany that statement. But yeah, there we go. Fun comic lore coming in there.
But this is kind of frustrating though, in that, like, Batman previously in this whole scenario was saving the Joker because he figured out who the Phantasm is. He's like, she's gonna go for. Oh, it turns out. I've drawn the picture, the smile on this picture's face. It was the Joker the whole time. That's who she'll be going for next. Somehow he figured out. Okay, I guess he's at the world of some. Oh no, the whole thing with the plane in the future. That's how he figured that out. But so then he's going there to like stop Andrea from killing the Joker, presumably just to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go arrest her. Maybe because he should. Maybe like it's one of those things like, why not just let her kill the Joker? Like,
I wonder if it's like a soul thing. Like he's thinking that I'm very low self-worth from this Bruce Wayne. Like he devalues himself so much and thinks that he must be the one that burdens the all the crime and has to take that on and stuff. So perhaps he thinks that survivor's guilt really is that he needs to take this on and take on this burden so that Andrea can stay clean and stay pristine.
Yes.
And meanwhile, she's already killed like 4 or 5 people.
The thing, yeah.
Could have killed a few more while she was overseas. You never know.
Plus, Joker does kind of deserve it, you know.
Oh yeah.
I went viral there recently. Though someone did a like a Peanuts cartoon strip, like a Charlie Brown Peanuts, and it was just them dressed up as Batman and Superman, and just like, you know, I've been thinking, you know, about, you know, my vow and stuff like that. And it's like, no, you know, and Superman, like Charlie Brown, been like, oh no, you have to stick to your guns, Bruce. And then just been like, what about the Joker? Oh no, you should have killed him a long time ago. But yeah, so maybe that speaks to my own egotism though, because my idea was just like, yeah, just, you know, she's already killed all these gangsters, just let her kill the Joker, and that takes care of your problem there, Bruce. And then afterwards, you can, if you feel you need to take her to prison or whatever. Although he flat out lets her go, like he has the opportunity to take her to prison. He's just like, don't kill the Joker, just get out of here.
Yeah, I think he can't do that to her. He knows, like,
he
I love
tries
you
to grab
too
the
much.
smoke though. Yeah.
I would think though, like in the minutes previous to this though, like they had their whole little thing where he's like, your father's dead, isn't he? And all that stuff. And at the end of that, he's just like, just leave, Andy. You know, like just go, get out of here.
Yeah.
So I think he was willing to let her just. Again, that might be like a moral compromise of Batman to be like, yep, I know you're a active killer, like a serial killer. Get out of here, you little scamp. Which is, but then to be like, oh, I could let her kill the Joker, and then that'll take care of my problem. But then like, no, I'm not doing. I'll go get him, and then I guess I'm so upset that I will kill. Like it's okay if I die too, I guess. Like I won't kill anybody. No kill rule, except if I die at the same time. And that's apparently the way he's just like, whatever it takes. It's just like, has this always been your hard and fast rule, Bruce? Of like, well, if I'm about to die, then I'll grab whoever's there and take them with me. Like, how long has it been the mentality?
I think it is just supposed to show, essentially, if I make it very simplistic here, how depressed he is. He's just like, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Like, I am willing to kill you now because nothing matters anymore. It's
been the first time he has to dust off his old Nirvana cassette. And for the first time. What did you make of the Batman, Brittany, when it came out? Because I know a lot of people who are hardcore into it just didn't bother watching the movie, which was a shame because it was so good.
I did really enjoy it. I think when it got to the point where Gotham was being flooded, I have just a general superhero movie gripe where as soon as you make a light in the sky or a citywide devastating earthquake at the end of some pretty horrific things, which happens to individuals throughout the film, I kind of feel like that overshadows and devalues the pain that has come before, because it's just like the only way we can make an impact is by hitting everyone with a flood or hitting everyone with an earthquake or a giant laser beam or Starro. And it's kind of like, how impacting was the very first scene where Riddler is kneeling over, I think it's like a senator or something?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's the mayor. It's the mayor of Gotham.
Yeah.
It's the mayor. And it's like, when you find these moments to bring the crime and bring these crazy masked villains and you bring it back to humanity and you bring it back to the individual and the audience is able to actually put themselves in that scene, that's when you're going to have the most impact. But just thinking like you can blow something up at the end and try and really get weight from that, it devalues what has come before. So I think the Batman film was amazing and very well done and really got Batman to a T, because he's an emo boy. To steal your words, John. And I think the flood just probably just devalued how painful the Riddler was on an individual level. Like the individuals in Gotham matter. The individuals in Brisbane City matter. I might not know them, but they do matter. And a whole earthquake, although it affects everyone, it removes the face.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
and that was my TED talk.
No, that's fair enough. It's a good way of thinking. I think that's why one of my big things I really loved about The Dark Knight is that for the big, like, $1 billion plus blockbuster it was, and all the spectacle and threat of the Joker, the finale of that movie is like Two-Face, Batman, and Gordon.
Oh, it's very personal, isn't it?
A very intimate conversation between these two guys and their moral quandary. It's like, this is the end of your big blockbuster, is just these three guys and them like pointing a gun. And it's like, this is incredible that you've boiled it down to like a very personal story at the end of it. It's like, yeah, it's almost as if that's a pretty good film, which is shocking coming from noted hack Christopher Nolan, but I'll give him his flowers when he deserves it. But no, it also, this whole thing though, like, yeah, Batman been, I guess, okay killing the Joker in this scenario. It's just frustrating too, because, like, knowing that this Batman also, like, there is a Justice League, and there is, Superman, and there's a whole cosmos at large and stuff here. In the comics, the more frustrating thing is, like, to me, it's not so much, like, why doesn't Batman kill the Joker, is that there have been proven methods to fix the Joker that they just never bring up again. Like, there's an issue, this Justice League, of America, JLA, Rock of Ages, where there's a whole thing where, like, there's a big threat from Darkseid, all this stuff, and the Joker's in there as well. And, we have Martian Manhunter versus the Joker. So at one point, the Joker sticks him in, like, a maze and stuff, and then Martian Manhunter is able to shape-shift his own brain to think more like the Joker. So then that's how he works his way out of the maze. And at one point then, the Joker has this weapon that they need. And everyone's like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get it off him? This thing's so dangerous. And then Martian Manhunter just goes, Joker, stop. And the Joker goes sane. Like, he realizes, like, everything he's done. And he has a moment of, like, oh my God, I'm a monster. Like, how have this is horrible. What's become of me and stuff. And he turns him sane. And you're like, and then, later on, it just becomes the Joker again. But it is just like, why didn't you just do that all the time? Like, why didn't you have Martian Manhunter go in and go, like, yep, there you go, now he's fixed? Is that in itself as bad a moral quandary as, like, I guess it's like a Clockwork Orange kind of question of, like, you could condition people chemically to not commit crime anymore, but then you're taking away free will?
Yeah, so that's the thing, yeah. Is it
better then for Martian Manhunter to be like, I just leave him as a crazy guy because that's who he is? Or would it not be better to, like, there was another one as well where, like, Ra's al Ghul is working with the Joker, and the Joker goes into the Lazarus Pit, and instead of it, the Lazarus Pit usually drives people crazy, it actually makes him sane. And he comes out, and again, he's all like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm a monster and stuff. It's like, so if that works, then just, like, keep injecting him with Lazarus Pit stuff.
Well, yeah, because
that'd be his medication. He just, every once a day, I got to take this little injection of Lazarus Pit juice or whatever. And there you go. He's a fully functioning, normal member of society now. Is that not?
Maybe he can put it in a juicer in the morning.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be all right. I get what you're saying about taking away free will and stuff. But it's not. You've got to think of it more like you just said another word there. It's his medication.
Yeah.
Like I used to work in a mental health hospital, and some people don't understand why they're having to take their medication. But if they're not taking it, then they'll get a lot worse, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, look, technically it's taking away their free will, because they're saying, look, just take this, and it'll change you. But in a positive way, it's kind of hard to word. You know what I mean? Like I'm on antidepressants, so technically that's changing how I think.
Yeah, you're changing your own brain chemistry because you're doing it voluntarily. But like, if someone doesn't have the willpower to be able to do that,
some people are too ill to be able to.
Then I guess it would classify if Joker's just like he's fully comprehending of it, but he just doesn't care. So he's like, no, I'm not taking that. To force him to take it is then a violation of his human rights. If this Lazarus Pit stuff will cure this guy straight away, or Martian Manhunter can come in and just go, yep, now you're sane. Where do you fall on this, Brittany? Like, are you outraged at this, or are you just like, you goddamn right wing assholes with your fascistic forcing of sanity onto a mass murderer?
No, I think the Joker is a great study for ethics in figuring out what do you do.
Yeah,
because it's really like an extreme trolley problem. If you don't kill the Joker, he's going to kill 500 people.
Yeah.
So it's or like, which track are you going to take? I think it's really hard because if you were, this was one of my favorite questions to ask my colleagues, which maybe that's why I sat alone at lunch. Just the idea of like, if you were a vigilante, would you uphold the law or would you uphold your own standards? Because if you uphold the law in your country, does that mean you would uphold the law of your country when you go to another country? Would you follow that law, or are you following your own ethics? What is the basis of your ethics? Is it religion? Do you enforce those rules on another person who doesn't follow your religion? So it's this idea when you are putting your choice. Do you kill the Joker? Do you let him live? It's sort of like, well, also, what right do I have to make that decision?
Yeah. He's Batman, especially. He's not Judge Dredd. He's not the executioner.
Exactly. Batman just needs to either call his dad, bring him in from the other dimension, or although that Thomas Wayne has his own problems with his own Joker.
Oh God.
Or just like, I think his hands are kind of tied, because if he wants to continue doing good and working with the police, he has to do things by the book, which is what Jim Gordon always says. Do things by the book, otherwise that's it. We're done. And Jim Gordon is a shining example of finally something that is meant to be right and good in a corrupt system. You've got to uphold that and respect that. Otherwise, again, Batman being an addict, if he doesn't have something to keep him in check, he has the potential to be a villain himself.
Yeah, totally. You see, of course, Jim Gordon, again, in The Killing Joke, having, like, the worst of the worst done to him. Of course, even, the paralyzing of his daughter and stuff. And his aftermath is just like, no, go take him in by the book. Like, just do it according to the letter of the law to prove that I'm better that we can be better than him and stuff. So, Batman's whole thing's like, oh, my parents got killed like 30 years ago. It's like, oh, this just happened to me today, asshole. And I can still stick to it, can I?
Which is interesting that you bring that up. So this is one thing that I've thought about The Killing Joke. And there are people who love that comic. There are people who hate it. There are so many problems beyond it, like from the publication standpoint, and women in refrigerators. And it's interesting to analyze the trajectory that Barbara Gordon's character took after that. But when you look at what happened, it is absolutely devastating that what happened to Barbara Gordon. It is also absolutely devastating what happened to Jim Gordon. He was also, and trigger warning for your audiences, that he was also assaulted. Like, what he went through was absolutely horrible, but it's also a reflection on our own Western society and maybe at a world of large that we're not ready to go, hang on, let's care for Jim as well, because that's that's heavy what he went through. That's really hard. And I think he's forgotten about, and again, a reflection of of our society. Some victims or survivors of assault are forgotten. And it's not to devalue others who are remembered and supported, but it's I think it's just something that plays on my mind when I think of that comic.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about, things like that too. Not to get into like too dark with it and stuff, but it just reminded me of because another example of like a superpower or a superhero been able to like alter reality or whatever in order to fit their agenda was, of course, big thing with Batman and Zatanna, where you know, of course, Zatanna had erased someone's memory, and then Batman came in. She did it with magic because Zatanna's magic, and when Batman came in, he was horrified by this, and then she selectively removed memory of her doing it from his mind, which was, and then when Batman found out, this was like the biggest violation to him, to go in and like alter his, and it didn't do any harm, you know. It was just like she didn't erase his memory entirely. She just made him forget this one little thing.
But we need all our memories. They make us who we are, you know.
Yeah,
they deal with that in Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That goes into that territory.
I think it's been cancelled now though, because you know Big Jimmy Gunn has swung in to take over DC, but there was going to be a Zatanna movie, and I was like, okay, it could be okay, but like it was going to be Emerald Fennell directing it, or writing and directing it. And of course, she made Promising Young Woman, which is all about someone going out and getting revenge on people who violate other people. And that's why I was like, would she address the idea of Zatanna being able to, like, would she then put Zatanna in that position of being the one who can do the violating and study the moral quandary of that, of like, a character now, part of her whole legacy is like, she's the person who erased Batman's memory just because it suited her in that moment. And that was just like, it was portrayed in the comics as like, this is like the biggest betrayal. This is just an abhorrent violation of, you know, of his rights and stuff. I guess we'll never get that now because, you know, Jimmy Gunn's in there and Emerald Fennell's off making cameo appearances in Barbie. Last I saw.
Yeah, I don't know if a whole movie around that character would work for me. I always think she works better as like a side character, but maybe, you know, I could be surprised if it ever did get made, which it's not now.
I mean, I'm sure there probably will be a Zatanna movie made eventually. I just don't think it'll be that one. But you know, there is something to be said there for like, yeah, so you know, the whole Megillah of just like you're in a universe where people, they don't have to, you know, there was a whole thing with Superman. That's how in the animated series how Superman took care of Doomsday, was that he just lobotomized him with his, you know, his ray vision. And so it's just like Batman could be out there just like, well, I don't have to kill them, but I could do something else. You know, it's going to, there's just so many. It's such a rich tapestry that's why people keep coming back to it, because there's like, we haven't resolved the problem. There's still discussions to be had about it.
That is why it continues. It's great. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. And then you can have conversations like this.
Yeah. One thing I did want to return to, though, there's a bit that I ended up sort of dropping there for a while, forgot about it. But it came back, roaring back this minute, is, Britt, are you aware of Backstroke of the West?
Got no idea what that is.
You probably have come across it. You just might remember that this was the title of it. But a couple of years ago, someone discovered that, Revenge of the Sith, it was translated into Japanese, and then in the English subtitles for the Japanese release, they retranslated the English back from Japanese. So you had English into Japanese, from Japanese back into English, and the translation was complete gibberish. And so you had titles like Backstroke of the West being Revenge of the Sith, and things like this. But someone has also done it for Mask of the Phantasm. So you can get the Japanese to English translation of lines of dialogue in the movie, and some of them are just amazing. I actually prefer a lot of this to the actual lines in the film. There's a YouTuber who actually has run with this, because this was one of their drama class practices, where they would translate Shakespeare into another language, then back to English. Oh, nice, and she started doing that with songs. And just singing popular songs translated multiple times, and the nonsense that came out of her mouth is hilarious. But yeah, so I'll go through a couple of scenes though, because this was the thing I was going to try to do for every minute, and then some of the episodes were running so long and stuff. I was like, I'll leave it for later. But Joker saying here, you're crazy. I'm your only chance to get out of here. Let me go or we both die. And Batman saying, whatever it takes. The Japanese to English translation is, insanity has lived in you. I have owned the method of escaping. If me that is not permitted, I will complete our life. And Batman replies with, so is the path. Which I think is it's more dramatic than whatever it takes. So is the path.
So is the path. Wow, that's like very Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or Kung Fu Panda. I don't know how I feel about it.
Although, speaking of other lines, actually, that ties into something I was going to bring up here in the draft script. There's a slightly different thing here. The wording, which I found interesting, because it's, Joker goes, you're crazy. I'm your only chance to get out of here. Let me go or we'll both die. And Batman says, then I'll see you in hell.
Oh, Christian hell.
Yeah, that's quite extreme, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it would have been one of those things of like, I guess they're like, we can say hell in the movie as well, because we're like, we don't have the TV network down our throat, but they might have been like, what did he say? Is that too much for it to be, I'll see you in hell?
I think it's too explicit, like, I am gonna kill us both. Yeah.
And also, I guess Batman been like, I guess I'm going to hell as well for killing you. So. But no, I've just got a couple more lines from scenes we missed of the translation is particularly as good as just the Batman coming in to interrogate Arthur Reeves, because it ties into Backstroke of the West, because obviously Batman appears at Arthur Reeves' window when he's in trying to recover from the Joker venom, and in the movie he just goes like, oh no, and in this translation he does say do not want. Which the classic one that came out.
Do not
want.
But of course, then Batman comes in the movie. It's all like, why did the Joker meet with you? He thinks you have something to do with the gang murders, doesn't he? He thinks you're involved. Why? And this is why Funbird meeting did you? I was like, the Joker's name was Funbird? Like, I could have been calling him Funbird the whole time. I didn't know it the other day.
That's a great name.
I think that's his surname. He's Joker Funbird.
The Joker Funbird. But then it refers
Joker
to
and Harley Funbird.
It refers to gangster murder also. He thinks you are implied. The reasoning. Because the thing now, anytime I have to ask why of anybody, I'm going to be like, the reasoning now.
The reasoning.
And then previously when the Joker came into Arthur Reeves' office, you did have, when he appears, Arthur just goes, you. But in this he goes, it is the fiendish man. I mean, just, little things like that, like, the councilman and his wacky pal is translated to National Assembly person and abnormal companion.
Wait, anormal or abnormal?
Abnormal companion.
Okay.
National Assembly person and abnormal companion.
Well, that's every single one of them, aren't they? They're just the assembly person and they're abnormal. Yep, I see that on the news every night.
And then just like the line, like, don't you remember you, me, Sally, and the gang, is which you have remembered, you, and writing, and Shaft. So I guess Shaft. was part of the whole that translation. Just I would go through the whole movie. He's like, yeah, Shaft's like a secondary character. Just he is a sex machine with all the chicks in Gotham now too. Whether maybe they're doing that because Christian Bale, of course, was the villain in the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft remake.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Holy crap!
A little nod to him. Although I don't know now that that's a remake, because they did do a new Shaft where there was like 3 generation of Shafts. So it was like Richard Roundtree was original Shaft, then Samuel Jackson, and then there was like new Shaft. But I remember it bombed because it was like...
Because it was stupid?
No, I think apparently it was very like... It was kind of like... These youngins with their wokeness today and stuff, and you couldn't have heroes like Shaft. The guys going around shagging this and that. It was all very like, it's just old men yelling at clouds, basically.
Oh, great. That sounds like absolutely thrilling.
Yeah, and convincing the young Shaft, like, you too should be a chauvinist who just swaggers around doing whatever he wants and stuff.
Jesus Christ. Now I kind of want to hate watch it.
But yeah, of course, now though, we have the rocking it around again. And then through what I thought was Saturn, but of course, Brittany, as you brought up earlier, might not be Saturn. Because in my mind, I was thinking, like, why specifically Saturn? It's just like, oh, it's a spacey kind of thing, and they're looking for like astro, cosmos kind of stuff, scenery in the background.
I was just like wondering what's in the draft script. What do they have written there as a background if they've got anything?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I didn't notice anything in particular. I'd have to try and find it now. Have I got it on this computer?
I can give a lovely rundown and all the different moon numbers and their planets.
Well, that's the thing.
Open in front of me.
Because this clearly, if they're moons, there's two that we can see.
There's three.
But is there a third one around the other? Yeah, around the... Okay, so three.
It's just hidden down in a little bit of the dark space. I thought it was originally two, and I thought it was Mars. But no, there's three. There's no planet in our solar system with three, from what I could find. But I think the closest it could be is Pluto. At the time, Pluto would have been recognized still as a planet. Pluto has 5 moons, and we only ever see one side of this planet. So I'd imagine perhaps there are 2 more hidden around the other side.
I wonder if that's why the world of the future closed down. It's like when they declassified Pluto as a planet, and everyone's like, we can't use that anymore. Let's get out of here. Let's just dump it, close the whole thing down. Forget about it. No, either that, but it could also be maybe it's the sun, and those are supposed to be the planets that are going around it.
Oh, that actually makes sense.
That'd be weird,
yeah.
But then I guess you'd need like 9. I suppose maybe if they're, depending on how many rings they have and how far away the planets are from each other, it would be, you could just have the 3 rings, I guess, maybe. But it seems weird to me to be, unless the rings aren't like even and they're going like a certain distance away from the. Now I just want to get into the blueprints for the world of tomorrow.
I don't know why. Like, I think I just saw this and I just stuck mostly around the planet while trying to figure out what I might wanted to bring to the table today in the podcast. So I'm like, what planet is this? How do I find out?
Yeah.
Looking at this, the script doesn't specify, so that wasn't that exciting in the end. It doesn't. It just says like planet and moon structure, rocket and moon structure, things like that. It's very unspecific. Maybe earlier in the script, the first time you see this, it mentions it, but that's way back at the.
Maybe it was Krypton. They got like, Hubble Space Telescope got us old pictures of Krypton from 30 years ago. Finally came back now. We finally developed them.
That's exactly what they would do these days.
Yeah, and then like Superman arrives to help and he sees them crashing through Krypton. He's like, oh, the memories are coming back now. Has to fly away again.
Well, they hurtle through the goddamn thing anyway.
Yeah. I guess in its own way, this is saying something too of like, Batman and the Joker are hurtling through a planet, and just they're like literally destroying everything as they go. It's like it's kind of a progression of them destroying that little miniature city in the previous week. So
it's an escalation. Yeah.
It's like soon the universe.
Maybe that is what it's saying. Like, if you don't stop this now, it's only going to grow and get worse.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Yeah.
There's a moment as well that I thought was really pretty in the score where they've gone around the whole park and they've come back to Pluto. I'm going to call it Pluto. And as soon as they come onto the screen with Pluto, this kind of like chiming, twinkling score appears and just really builds in that idea of just kind of what once was in this like sparkly kind of space age futuristic theme park. And then they come crashing down and going from that very sudden kind of twinkling score then to trumpets in a kind of minor tone as they come out the bottom of the planet. And that just creates a really sharp change and really gets the mood of Batman's tired, Batman's hurt. He's really just crushed at the end of this film. But the trumpets as well, as they pass over end of this minute, started next minute, it's almost the opposite of triumphant trumpets of people returning to like a castle or something. So instead of being like ba 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 or anything in that way, it's very much like ba ba as he's fallen and he's crashed and it's the end of his journey and he's just like, I've just got nothing more to give.
Yeah. that stands true to like the end of the movie. It's just like it's all a downer from here. Like there is no moment of triumph for Batman unless you get a triumphant little burst of music at the end, but it's just more like gotta keep going, I guess. is more the vibe of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm all noted out for minutes 68. Does anyone else have anything specific to minute 68 they want to bring up before we depart?
I've only got one thing really. Like Joker says, you just don't know when to quit, do you? When they're wrestling for control. And I just found out a little fact. I haven't played this, but interestingly, there is an achievement with this exact name on the game Lego DC Supervillains. Called You Just Don't Know When to Quit, Do You? And it's for completing Mask of the Phantasm. It's got its own section of the game with all the mini kits unlocked.
Okay. I'm not a big fan of those Lego games. I find them very frustrating.
They're kids' games. How frustrating.
It's just going around having to build things all the time, and it's just like no. There's something every time I try to play them, I'm just like, nope, that's just not landing for me. Just everywhere I have to go over and then cobble these things in and find things to go put the pieces together, and it's just like, just let me go and beat up some crooks in the street.
Oh God, no. I like them enough, but I stopped a long time ago. I mean, I played Lego Star Wars. That was the first one. It was like, oh, this is amazing. This is great. And then I had Lego Indie. I think I had Lego Batman. And then after that, it was like, okay, I get it now. I had Lego Lord of the Rings, yeah. And then that was enough. I was like, okay, yeah, I get the concept. I don't need to keep playing these.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of Lego games, Brittany, or
no? I see the value, and I see this amazing just world that Lego is building and expanding into. I'm very particular with my games, and I think it's got to be third person. If it's first person, it could make me sick because of motion sickness.
Oh, no.
Which I hate. But I do enjoy third person, like Horizon Zero Dawn, Tomb Raider, Uncharted. Assassin's Creed's are all right, but they get a little repetitive.
Yeah, I gave up on them for the same reason. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of like open world. But Lego just, I don't know. I think the story and the graphics are what really sucks me into a game. And I played on story mode. I don't want to play for a challenge.
I'm starting to get that way. I used to always play games on hard, because it's a challenge. It's like, these days I don't have the time. I don't want a challenge. I just want to have fun. I just want to experience the story.
Yeah. Like, yeah, nowadays when you're like a full-grown adult, that is just like, I just want something to relax before I go to bed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't need a test right now.
Yeah, I'm sick of being tested. That's my life.
What do you mean remote control Batarang? God damn it, I hate these things.
Oh, that bloody boomerang.
Nightmares, flashbacks.
Yeah. I know a 5-year-old is used to be known as baby roommates, but yeah, little Killian, he was playing Arkham City recently. And just building up to him was like, all right, so you're gonna go in here, and there's gonna be this thing with this Batarang, okay? And I'm not gonna help you because it'll kill me to try to do it again. And I hated it so much. But just know this is what you have to do, all right? And he was just like, how would you have ever worked that out? I was like, how is anyone supposed to work out that's what you're supposed to do with it? But
you just go online and search playthrough.
Yeah,
someone's done it. Just do that.
But yeah, I'm ready to move on to minute 69, dudes.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's go and head off into the dark, dark night. We'll do plugs next episode. Screw it. Join us again next time for minute 69, dudes.
Next time, the surprise of Skywalker. Our Stars War results in two titanic tusslers calling time, with a killer quipster complaining that, for once, I'm stuck without a punchline. The surreal Sultan of Chicanery seems satisfied to throw in the towel, but will his surrender be rejected by a revenge-set Reaper with a scowl? Our next explosive episode sees the cartoon go kaboom, folks. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Top,